Hello, everybody. I am so excited to introduce you to my dear friend, Emily Fletcher of Ziva Meditation. There are so many good things I want to say about this incredible, transformational, powerful woman. But before I do, Emily, just to thank you. Today is all about embodying your bliss through meditation. This is a transmission that those of us that have been doing work for a while are gonna want to get. Emily's at the cutting edge of that place where bliss and meditation come together. So I'm so excited about this.
Yes, me too. It's so good to be back. I miss you. And what a delight to be talking about such juicy topics.
Oh my gosh, for those of you that don't know Emily, she's the founder of Ziva and has taught the Ziva meditation technique to over 40,000 people. Her best-selling book, Stress Less, Accomplish More, debuted at number 7 of all books on Amazon and has been translated into 12 languages. She's launched Ziva Kids, the first meditation course of its kind for kids. She's been featured in the New York Times, Good Morning America, The Today Show, Vogue, ABC. Formerly stressed out Broadway performer who is going gray at 27, Emily discovered a powerful practice that cleared her insomnia and improved her health on the first day. Ziva graduates include Oscar, Grammy, Emmy award winners, Navy SEALs, and NBA players. Emily's mission is to uplift and transform as many humans as possible and to help them achieve extraordinary results. I'm so excited, Emily, to introduce our audience to this new chapter of your work and tell us what it is first.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like as you're reading that bio, I'm like, wow, that almost feels like a different person. Because
I know. I was like, there's so much advancement and evolution that's happened even since that bio.
Totally. And first I'm like, oh, I'm going to get you a new bio. And secondly, it just feels like the whole world has gone through a huge transformation. You know, we all went through like almost a near-death experience, and that either wakes somebody up or it puts them to sleep. And I'm sure you see this in your worlds, and probably people listening are seeing it as well. Like just like there was a K-shaped economic recovery post-pandemic, like rich got richer, poor got poorer. I see the same thing happening spiritually, where people who have been doing therapy and meditation and shadow work, and I've had the privilege of accessing these tools, they are like popping off into these very high states of consciousness. I know you see this. And then conversely, people who have not had the privilege of accessing this stuff, therapy, meditation, exercise, trauma work, it's like we're spiraling down into overwhelm and anxiety and depression and even suicidality. And it's like, this bifurcation is not going to be a very fun place to live. We got to close that gap. So I'm really interested in like, how do we start to make these tools more accessible? How do we make them more attractive? And for me personally, I had my own, not near-death experience, but my whole world got rocked. My community, New York City changed, my community left, I went through a divorce. And 3 weeks later, I met my now best friend, Layla Martin, who's like a world famous Tantra teacher. I met this amazing man that became my cosmic lover. And then I moved in with Regina Thomashower, AKA Mama Gina. And like my whole world transformed. And so when I was like, wait, it feels like nature is giving me this like fire hose of like a PhD in sacred sexuality and embodied manifesting, embodying bliss. And yes, I'm very grateful for my own edification, but it feels like there's something bigger at play, that nature's like, hey, go do for this, even more potent, even more taboo medicine. Go do what you did for meditation for this. And so that's why we're here today.
I want to talk about taboo medicine, and I want to talk about that intersection between the deep realms of meditation and the exploration that happens there, and that same work that I've done in Mama Gina's room, where I tap into my orgasm, I tap into that unlimited well of sexual energy, and I use that as part of my manifestation. So like, tell us everything you know. I want to know everything.
Yes. Okay. So, we know that this sexual energy, it is one of the most potent, powerful things that we have. And it's so powerful that people have tried to divorce us from it for tens of thousands of years. We've tried to shame it and compartmentalize it. And it's been this huge trick to try and make us forget that we could actually plug ourselves into our own divinity, that we can access these states of ecstatic bliss with our own internal pharmacology. Now, obviously, meditation is one way to get there, but meditation at least what I teach at Ziva, it's about de-exciting the nervous system. We're giving the body deep healing rest. We're healing on a cellular pre-verbal level. And especially at Ziva, it's like a root, it's like a seed going into the earth. And that is beautiful. And I will never stop meditating. And it has given me such a powerful foundation now for this more activating work, where you start to take that energy and spiral it up and use that creation energy to create whatever it is that you want. So you could create a baby with it if you want, but thankfully every time we orgasm, we don't make a baby because it'd be very crowded on planet Earth, right? And yet when you're in that state, you have the ability to manifest. You have the ability to send that energy, almost dedicating that energy to your dream. And so, I know a lot of folks would like never go to a tantra retreat, are very allergic to terms like kundalini or yoni, and so I just felt like it's time for, like, how do we make this stuff truly accessible, truly relatable, and not off-putting? Because it's not just like meditation was 13 years ago, where people are just like, ooh, that's weird. People think it's weird, and then they have a whole bunch of cultural conditioning and shame and trauma on top of it. So it's like we got to really go gently when we travel into these worlds. But once people experience it for themselves, I feel like everyone's just like, wait, how did I forget?
Right? How did I forget? How did I not, how have I not been accessing this on a daily basis? And
Yes.
that's been part of my sexual awakening as well. And I guess I'm curious, what do you recommend women leaders do to start practicing? And I definitely want to push people toward and invite all of you to take Emily up on her upcoming Embody Bliss training, her podcast launch. Why isn't everybody doing this? Why isn't everyone doing this? And, we are a group of women leaders who have said yes to women manifesting at a big level. Many of us have stepped into being business owners and CEOs, and all of a sudden we're managing people and running group training programs and serving clients for some of us the first time. And my question for you is like, how do we use this to maintain that beautiful purpose that we are all birthing through our vessel, and that sometimes can be overwhelming?
Yeah, so I think that we've tried to play an old game for too long. This sort of like hyper masculine, hyper productive, hyper driven game, and like that was the mode like pre-pandemic. Like, like I feel like in the 80s, like women wearing shoulder pads and like the sort of like white feminism of like, let's be more like men, right? And like that game is over. That game is done. There's a new sheriff in town. Like the frequency of the planet is literally changing, and the new paradigm is more feminine. And that doesn't necessarily mean even female, because we all have masculine and feminine, but it's more receptive. It's more leaned back. It's more about magnetizing. And the beautiful thing is that your hoo-ha, which I like to use the term hoo-ha, which, by the way, I'll define it. It is both your anatomy and your energy center, and it's all genders, right? Male, female, trans, non-binary. It's all the genders, and it's both the anatomy and the energy center. And good news, it is both your magnet and your generator.
I just felt my hoo-ha come alive when you said that.
Oh, yes. Because it's like, and most of us, because of the shame, because of the repression, because of just like being in a hyper masculine world where we're trying to think our way through problems all the time, it's exhausting and it's not natural. It's not how we were designed. And so with this work, we are getting into our bodies. We are activating both our head, our hearts, and our hoo-has, getting them all into coherence with themselves, and then ideally with each other. And my dream of dreams is that we get like tens of thousands of people in coherence with themselves and each other, and in these peak ecstatic states, manifesting a vision for the species simultaneously.
I mean, I can feel as you're talking, it's like we're literally transforming from Homo sapien to Homo bliss luminos, right? Like there's
Homo luminos. I love that.
luminos. I just made that up. We got to hang out more
You
often.
should coin that immediately.
Right? There's this, I mean, I can feel it. I know that for many of us, we're actually surrendering to these messages that are coming through us because we get this taste of what it is to be moved by the divine, to be a channel of this energy. And it includes our sexuality. And I think that's a piece that so many leave behind. And I think that leads to burnout. I mean, would you say more like
Yes. So it's like if we're just running neck up and we're trying to think our way through our problems versus feeling our feelings, and if we're trying to generate everything through our intellect and through our achievement, you're right, it's a recipe for burnout. Now the good news is that this creation energy that you can get by plugging your head, your heart, and your hoo-ha directly into source, it's limitless. Right? It's limitless. And so it can fuel you and it can help you to become a magnet for your dreams. So, like the really simple thing, and I'm going to be walking everyone through this in this free activation that we're doing on May 17th, and it's called Embody Bliss, right? That we're taking all that bliss chemistry that we've been developing during meditation, from our trauma work, from all of our parts work. We're going to start to move that down into our bodies, and we're going to let the beautiful sacred wisdom, the beautiful intelligence of our bodies start to help us get to where we want to go. And then what we find is that it doesn't take as much effort. It doesn't take as much work when you're truly in coherence, when you are aligned with yourself and your dream. It's like you can lean back into the queen that you are and let those things start to magnetize to you from that sexual energy. And like even at work, like obviously we're not going to sexualize people in our workplace, but that is very different from you plugging into the very source of your power. That's why we call it creation energy, right? So like creation energy doesn't sexualize anyone, not you or anyone else. And yet it is this magnetic, creative force that you can use however you like.
Incredible. And it resonates with me so deeply because I sometimes am creating business stuff sitting behind my computer, and I literally feel like an upwelling of sexual energy. Like my hoo-ha will start to like pulse as I'm like, you know, taking stuff that Chat GPT gave me and I'm adding my like sage magic to it. And so I just hope that more of you actually take this to heart. And if you're not experiencing hoo-ha energy as you're growing your business, like Emily is such the right one to point you toward this with your years of experience training tens of thousands of people to go so much deeper in their meditation practice or to adopt a meditation practice. Some of the most incredible leaders on the planet. Like, I feel so excited that you said yes to this more taboo message. And like, can we speak into that for a moment? Because a lot of the women that come to this community also have very less traditional messages for the world.
Mm.
And I have a lot of, sexual healers and tantric, trainers come through this community, and also just gifts that are just not meant to be put in a box, period. So
Mm.
how has this been for you, and how can we tap into this alignment? You said hoo-ha, heart, and mind tapped into source working together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, so head, heart, hoo ha, the three H's, all three
Okay. I
aligned.
love
And I'll
it. I
just
love
tell
it. I
like an
love it.
inspiring story and then maybe we can extrapolate some wisdom from it. But, so I've been like selling, really like working so hard, like on every soapbox, on every podcast for 13 years, being like, y'all, like this is the medicine. Like, why isn't everyone meditating? And I've always said if I ever felt anything more powerful, I would start teaching that. So Ziva is still the most powerful meditation that I found, but I found this other more powerful manifesting tool. And then I created my very first mastermind, and it was 26 people. It was my highest ticket item by far that I'd ever created. We scheduled 2 months to sell it because we thought it'd be very high touch, one-on-one calls. We sold out in 2 weeks. We sold out in 2 weeks, and it's like 15x more expensive than anything else that we had created. But because it felt so in alignment with my passion, because it felt so in alignment with the need of the time. And even though I have not been talking about sacred sexuality, I have not been talking about embodied manifesting, because people could feel the alignment, people were literally like writing me like mad at my EA. They're like, I told your EA to hold me a spot, like tripping over themselves. They wanted to get into the program so badly. And so it was a really good lesson to me. And I said to my team, because they were like, Emily, we've got that, it's not enough time and blah, blah, blah. And we have to do this. And I was like, y'all, we are going to practice what we preach. We are going to embody this. We are going to lean back. We are going to be in a state of joy and pleasure and magnetism. And these people are already on our list, and they will come to us. And they effing did. And it was like the most like I've ever practiced what I've preached in this. And it felt like truly like a high five from nature.
I believe it. I absolutely believe it. And so there's some clues, there's some hints that Emily just spoke into to go for complete alignment with your message, like complete alignment, even if it's so cutting edge that it scares you. And then embody what you're teaching, embody what you're saying, and share that with your team. That you don't have to do things that old masculine way, that there's this more feminine way coming through. And especially if that's what you're selling, I mean, we are too, like we have to check ourselves over and over again. Like when we make things more urgent than they really need to be, or get our undies in a bundie when something happens, that like, it's okay. We know what to do. We can get through this. And so I just feel so excited for every single one of you to align heart, head, and hoo-ha using Emily's new medicine. I'm excited to dive into this podcast. I'm like, oh yeah, this one's going to be pinned on my on my account because I can't wait to listen to it. And I just want to say thank you for launching. Thank you for bringing this work to the world. Thank you for being so honest about your calling of, until I find something more powerful, I'll teach meditation. And for you, this is a more important message to be bringing. It's more cutting edge. What else would you like to leave women with as we wrap up, just in terms of trusting those desires that come up for all of us as we are visionaries, growing businesses and constantly being sometimes hijacked from ideas? It's like, how do we discern bright and shiny object from like that which we're really supposed to be doing, and that pivot that we're like truly supposed to be surrendering to?
Well, so that's actually a great exercise for head, heart, and hoo-ha. If you're like, is this a shiny train? Or is this like a dharmic imperative? Like, is this something that nature would have me like really, that nature needs me to birth? Or is this just like, I saw this girl do it on Instagram and it looked really cool, let me try it. And so then we can go like, what does my head say? What does my heart say? And what does my hoo-ha say? Like rate it through each one and be like, oh my God, this seems super smart, but I'm not getting the pulses in my hoo-ha. Right. But when you get to something that's all three, then that's like that real alignment. And that's what I did with the podcast. Like for years, my team was like, can we please make a podcast? Can we please make a podcast? But the audience has been asking for it for years. And it didn't feel totally in alignment until now. And now, because it's like, no, this is the thing where people need intimacy, and podcast is such an intimate art form. Like you really get to be inside of someone's heart and their psyche, and it can go gradually and it's long form. And so it felt like this was the right subject matter to start to dive into. And it's not just sacred sexuality. Like the cool thing about why isn't everyone doing this is that, I could have you on and be like, Sage, tell me the time in your life where you had that feeling like, why isn't everyone doing this? Like that time where you found the thing that was so good. And so then you get access to my amazing Rolodex, like you said, some of the world's greatest leaders in entertainment, in business, in high priestesses, doctors, and I get to ask them that question.
It's like a playground. It's like a podcast playground. I love my podcast. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you to just continue to connect with this audience. I'm going to absolutely splash this around in our social media and on Apple iTunes. And Emily, let's just be really clear. So the two things we're inviting you guys to, you Gaias, you gorgeous beings of light and love.
Gaias, I love that. I've never heard that. That's so
good.
I know,
I love it. Definitely check out Emily Fletcher's new amazing podcast, Why Isn't Everyone Doing This? And we'll put a link to her podcast in the comments with this video and in the show notes and everything. And then Embody Bliss, May 17th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Definitely check out Emily's Embody Bliss training. Anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, just that it's going to be an opportunity for me to share like some of the medicine that we're talking about on the podcast and some of the big concepts that have come through. And it's going to be a live activation where I'm going to walk you through like getting clear on your dreams, clearing anything in the way of you manifesting them. And then we're actually going to use some of these tools. And it's basically going to be like a massive global launch party for the podcast.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It's so exciting. Yeah. I'll be watching the following week because I do have an event that day, but I am so excited for every single one of you to have another teacher in your midst that is truly pointing the way toward feminine embodiment and like true embodiment of these energy sources, because we all know that everything is energy. And it's those of us that are in this conversation that are actually getting some of the most important downloads, that are on the cutting edge of evolution, that are in the like the folds of the zeitgeist. And so I hope Emily is inspiring you to say yes to the most relevant and most recent download around your gift. And Emily, just thank you for being who you are and being such a radiant ray of light.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see you. And I'm even more radiant because you recommended your biomat to me. I just got one last week, so it just charged me up.
Oh yeah.
Charging up my head, heart, and my hoo-ha.
Oh yeah. Go charge up your head, heart, and your hoo-ha. Buy a biomat. Jump into Emily's podcast and check out her upcoming training, Embody Bliss. I'm so excited to introduce all of you to Emily. Give her some love in the comments. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. Thank you, Sage. Love you guys.
I love you.
Gaias. Love you, Gaias.
Love you, Gaias. Don't forget to hit subscribe so I can keep getting you weekly content to grow your business that is relevant, authentic, and effective. So you can get out there and shine your light and be the messenger that you're here to be, because your clients are waiting for you.